Who is it?
Hooyo ma joogtaa?
Hooyo Mataalo. She went shopping.
Hooyo markay timaado haba xabiibaa kuu timid ku dheh.
Okay, habo.
Yo, walk on. Assalamu alaikum. Damantini kuso the weather, and welcome to Hooyo Mataalo podcast. I'm Lee, short for Liban.
I'm Sam, short for Samatar.
And yeah, we back, baby. Back for episode 6.
We're back for another episode. You know, keeping that consistency. That's a key to everything.
Yeah, week by week, man.
Week by week, dropping that load, making sure that the content's there for everyone. And yeah, today we've got another special guest as usual. You know, we like to give a lot of special guests. And today we got Sharif.
Yes. Hello. Thank you for having me.
Well, yeah, it's great to have you here, man. So yeah,
I just want to say quickly though, I've been watching the podcast and I love the consistency. I love the content. I love the value and the relevance that it plays in today's world. So you guys killing.
Appreciate
Keep it going.
that.
I really
Don't
appreciate
stop.
that, man.
Don't ever stop.
No, definitely. That's you know, when we first started up, the whole point was to make sure that we deliver content that's, you know, that makes sure that resonates with, you know, normal folks, to be fair. You know, whether it has to do with previous episodes that we have, like mental health, previous episodes, you know, to do with people that want to go into higher education, to go institutions like Oxford, for example. So, you know, making sure that we have some type of relevance going. And for this particular episode, what we've got here, and why we've got here in particular, is what it was like to start up a small business, making sure that, for example, you ventured out when you were very young, right?
Yeah.
So the backdrop is that we knew each other since from birth, let's say. We grew up together in Holland and whatnot, and then we moved together over here. You know, went to the same school even.
Yeah,
so
Lived in the same house for a little while.
Yeah. So everything, literally, like even, you know, Lee too, when all three of us.
Yeah, all three of us went to the same school.
All three of us went to the same school. So that's where we all got to know each other in a sense. But the great thing is that, you know, giving a little backdrop on yourself is that you went to uni, you know. It's funny because you had a little stint working for a Better View. And I think that's the only time you've ever worked for someone.
Yeah, literally. That was my first ever real job. Other than obviously the 2-week, work experience that you do in year 10, I think it is, or year 9.
Year 9 or year 10, yeah, that's
I've
correct.
done that in like some retail clothes shop called Madhouse or something like that. And then, but other than that, the only real job I've had was View in Westfield.
And I think I remember one time you must have done like one day at a warehouse.
Oh yeah,
literally.
was that with me? That was with me, right?
Bro,
Yeah.
can you imagine? I forgot about that story. Can you imagine?
I completely forgot.
Bro, I was working like in a warehouse, innit, like a couple years ago, and one day I was just doing what I do in it. What I used to do was like fill up things, like, you know, those things that go on a plane. Yeah, they're called pags, I think. Yeah. These things that you fill up, you net it, and then it goes directly on a plane. So that's how clothes and that get shipped out. And I think it was like ASOS and Boohoo clothes. Yeah. One day it was early, like he didn't start at the same time as me. Bro, I look to my left and I see him there. I'm baffled, confused, innit? But that was the hard work, innit?
I needed some money, and that time, obviously, I've never done labor.
Yeah.
So that was tough.
Bro, did you last like how many days was it? Was it a day,
I was
2,
there for
3?
like 2 days.
2 days max, literally. Yeah.
Literally 2
It's
days.
crazy. Because from what I heard, I remember you asking me, and you know, Lee done it for I think 2 years or so, but
No. It wasn't that long, but
all right,
but
I don't know how long it was for, but it felt
yeah.
like time, and you just, you know,
yeah.
it's the work ethic at the end of the day, right? For working in a warehouse, honestly, like, I'm not gonna lie to you, I lost it probably about 4 days max, and after that, I said, you know what, this is not for me, and I'm not cut out for this, right? So literally, I thought, you know what, the whole labor side of things, I can't do it. Maybe it's for others, but you know.
Do you know what it is? It's like, I don't know how to explain it, but when it comes to work, like I'll do anything in
Just
it.
get on with it.
I'm that type of guy. I've worked all different types of jobs in it. Yeah. Remember in school?
Yeah, no, definitely.
I was a dinner lady for a short period.
Dinner lady.
I've worked in like a market. Like this was like maybe when I was 15. I used to like like help them like like close up.
Yeah.
So putting away the metal poles and whatnot and detaching them from each other, and literally all the money I made, I used to buy a pair of trainers like every other week.
Yeah.
So Market Boy, that's where the name came from.
No, it's funny because I remember he's working in the canteen, literally, you know, he used to scan the items for everyone. And to be fair, I remember when you used to be at the till, some of us, you just try sneak out from the back because, you know what, Lee's at the till anyways, you can try get away with some of these things, right? But
I never used to let it run,
You
bro.
never used to let it run,
never used
so
to
that's
let it
the
run.
one thing. But you know, that's the thing, like, you know, when you're young, you try out so many different jobs,
100%.
right? Like, for example, I used to be a steward at Charles Stadium, for example, at one point. You know, you do these odd jobs here and there just to get
100%.
the money in. I think it was, so many, you got so many different jobs that you're doing, but it's just for that small stint that you do. Now, the whole thing that we brought in Sharif today was the fact that, you know, you've run your own small business before. I'd say family business, more or less.
Yep.
You know, then you've also got a clothing label.
Yep.
You've got so many other things that's going on at this point. But what made you go into that? Do you know what I mean? I know you're quite young when you started it all off, you know?
It was my mum. That was the only reason why I got into it. Because I saw, when we first came,
Yeah.
you remember, it was just me and my mum. And then, obviously for her, it was quite tough because she used to, at the time, no, when we first came, she had to start her studies again.
Yeah.
So she went college and I was in high school. No, year 6 primary school. And then what she'll do is she'll go to college, finish college, come pick me up from school because my school was quite racist, I would say, my primary school. And then so she always had to make sure that I was okay and make sure I was not getting into any trouble or anything. So she'll come pick me up, take me home. And then in the evening, when she'll feed me dinner and everything, she'll then work on what she wanted to do.
Yeah.
And she's always wanted to be in a travel space. So I think within a year or two, that's when she kind of realized, okay, like I really want to go all out on this.
Yeah.
And I used to see her revise every single night. We used to have a little desk, like probably this big, with a computer on top, corner in the living room. And then she'll literally just work the whole night and study, do a test, pass. She finished college. Then she done university when I was in high school, done the same thing. And obviously when you're young, especially for me, my mum was quite strict on me because of her lifestyle, if that makes sense. So obviously at the time I didn't not appreciate that. I didn't understand it. So I was always angry when she used to tell me I can't go out with my friends. Yeah. Like he used to go out with his friends all the time, but my mum would never let me go with them because obviously sometimes it's another responsibility for her to think of, another worry, like where they're going, are they gonna come home, blah blah blah. So yeah, like the reason for me starting going into business on my own was my mum. Like she's made me see that with hard work, with dedication and everything, you can do what you want to do.
No, definitely, because I did see the growth in it. You know, you started off with a small space within I think it was in a shop, shared space. Yeah. So it was a shared space, and I've seen it flourish to having your own space, you know, making sure that there was growth within those years. And from that, it went into, you know, having a whole brand itself, literally the go-to people when it came to, you know, getting particular flights or having this. But that transition itself was like a high risk, I'd say, at that point. Yeah. Because it was still up and coming. I'd say it was quite different for someone to go into business with a mom and not venture out to, because your background was in accounting.
Yeah,
right?
don't like. I remember when I was in my second year of university. So my mum graduated when I was about to go into university, and I went to the same university as her.
Mad.
Yeah, so when she finished, she was like, go to the university I went to. So I went there. It was all right. It was not too bad, and it wasn't too far from my house. But when I was in year 2, she then started her travel agent. She rented a little desk like this, and literally inside an estate agent. And the only thing that she'll do is she'll go on websites to find cheap fares and then sell it to people and add like a £20 commission, £5 commission, £10 commission. And that's how we started. And then obviously when I see, then my mum, even till this day, she takes the work home sometimes. And then sometimes she'll be working from home, and I always used to see, and I was always interested in seeing like how she was doing it and how she was making money. And then, because obviously at the age I was at, all I cared about was money. Like, you want the latest shoes and the latest clothes and this and that. But yeah, so when she started the travel agent, I joined her because I wanted to experience it myself. And then as I got older, I started to realize like this, I like this. This is me. I could do well.
So wait, so did you just learn from like watching her, or did she teach you like the blueprint to this?
She has taught me a lot, but so in business, you let's say it's like hiring, having a team, right? You don't hire people that are good at the same things you're good at. You hire people that cover you in areas that you're not good at. So with my mum, she was very good at what she does, but she would never understood how to kind of gauge a external community into the company. Like, let's say, for example, the way we was based, it was predominantly African community, if that makes sense. So for us, I told my mum, like, we should concentrate on these people. And once we do that, we will build a community big enough to then explore other continents and other areas. So at the time, I said to Mum, why don't we try and get contracts with these airlines to see if we can get cheaper fares than what usually is on the internet. So then we're able to cater that to the people that are around us. Like, we started off with family first. And then from family, it was just a word of mouth thing, and it just kind of grew from there kind of thing. But it was definitely a thing where she taught me how to run a business, but I taught her how to kind of
expand.
Yeah, like the new generation of building a client base kind of thing. Because before, it was all about being in a newspaper, or I remember at the time there's like a business forum that was going on in the community where, because we was on the high street, so other businesses on the high street, they used to be in a forum, and that forum used to go out to all the people that used to live in the borough. But I was like, I don't think we should do that. Like, we should try something else. So I went to social media and I tried that out, and it worked very well. Like, this was first when I think 2012.
So wait, did you have like specific strategies, or like, what do you mean? Like you just...
I was always curious about marketing. So I used to be very curious on these people online that were selling courses.
So you're not a spammer? Like, you're not a spammer?
I wish I was. But yeah, like, I used to listen to like Ty Lopez.
Okay.
A lot. And I remember he brought out this course which was about social media marketing. I was quite interested in it. I was like, okay. But he was selling the course so well that it made me want to buy it. So I borrowed money off my mum to buy the course, to learn it. And obviously, as I've gone through it, there was a lot of things in it that were quite good. And at the time, like, Facebook ads was probably the best thing to do. So then I'd done a Facebook ad. I spent like £5 a day for like 5 days. And on the first day, we had 90 calls coming from spending £5. We closed, I think, 40 of them. And at the time, we were making commissions of £40 to £50. So that £5 spent was a good return on investment.
100%.
So then we just kept doing it. But the thing is, with marketing, like, you have to be careful because things die. You can't rely on that. Do you know what I mean? And you have to kind of build assets within the company to grow. Otherwise, it's going to be a long, long ride.
I think the one good strategy that I saw outside your shop, right, was, and obviously you can go into it more, was the actual prices of the flights. And it was quite funny when you look at the price of the flights. It was not the actual price of the flight. It was like without any taxes or anything else. But I think you used that strategy just to lure people in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Could you go into that more? Because I found that a very good strategy, because I always saw people lining up outside the shop, looking at it, and say, you know what, yeah, that's some cheap price. Let me go have a look. And then I always see you grinning, and then you used to have so many people flooding in.
Yeah. Because and I think the most important part is what I touched upon earlier was understanding the community we was in.
Yeah.
So we would only put up flights that were going to Africa, Somalia, Ethiopia, Nairobi, like whole of Africa, and we knew that the people walking past will clock these places because one of these places is their hometown.
Definitely, yeah.
Do you get what I mean? So then the next thing to do is, how do you price this attractive enough in order for them to come in and inquire? All that we wanted was their name and email address and phone number if possible. So that way, with that inquiry, we're able to build a database. With the database, we didn't know this, but we were lucky enough to build a database because we wanted to do it properly. Even if people were not buying, we just wanted their contact details. So let's say if we have an offer come up to wherever they do want to go, we can send them that offer and hopefully they'll buy then, So the only focus at the time was just making sure that we have footfall.
So is that called like a mailing list, like that's similar to that?
Yeah, basically, yeah. So we didn't utilize email much back then. We used to use text messages because I would say the community we was in, they weren't really tech savvy. So emails wasn't really a thing where they would check up on every single day. Like they're the type of people that want post coming through the letterbox, or they want a text message or a phone call. So we kind of understood that and we're like, okay, let's stick with that. And obviously once we reach the other side and we want to target those kind of people, then we'll go into email and we'll go into this. So yeah, like at the time, footfall was obviously the most important part, and just trying to figure out how to market good enough for you to get footfall coming was, it was great.
I think the good thing was at the same time that you, what your mom done was, which was really good, I'd say, it was the customer service.
Yeah.
And the reason I say it was so good, I know you mentioned earlier your mom used to take the work back home.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes I used to come over to your house, might be like 9, 10, whatever, and I still see your mom working. So calls are coming through. A lot of people are querying about particular flights. Can you lock me in for this or this and this? So even at that time, even though you're closed, you're still closing those deals, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So on this particular book, I could see, okay, your mom's ticking this off. Okay, cool. So even though the shutters are closed, business is still not closed.
No.
And I think that was part of the service, isn't it? That a lot of people, that's how you retain your customer base, I'd say.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, we was just like a startup basically, and we had to wow our customers to make sure that they don't have to chase us. Do you get what I mean? So let's say, for example, someone makes a booking today, and then let's say 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night, he sends us a message or calls my mum and says, "Oh, I want to change my flight." Instead of mum saying, "Oh, we're not open right now, can you call us tomorrow?" She'll say, "Okay, cool, I'll have it done for you in the morning." So she'll just make a note of it, and then the next morning when she goes into work, she'll just do it, kind of thing. So it's done. So yeah, like it ensuring that obviously our customers were always first was so important to us, because that's the only way we'll be able to grow the business to where we kind of wanted it to go. So
would you say that was due to the fact that it was easy for them to access you lot, in that sense that, of course, we touched on it earlier, saying the after hours, let's say, that they're able to reach you lot? Right?
Yeah, it was tough. Because obviously it eats up into our family time.
No, of course. The load. I used to see all the time, literally. Your mom's working in the corner, you're doing something else in the corner. Literally, like, the grind doesn't stop. Right? And that's the thing that I'd say the difference is, even though you might do a 9 to 5, let's say, it might stop at 5, but when you're working for yourself or you got a small business going on, it might go up until 1 in the morning. Do you know what I mean?
This perception of, like, especially now, I hate when I see it. Like, when these people sell information or sell courses and tell people to get out of their 9 to 5s, for example, 9 out of 10% is bullshit, because what they don't tell you is you're doing more than 9 to 5. You're not doing less than 9 to 5. Do you get what I mean? Obviously, yes, it does require a lot of hard work and, most important, patience. I remember we didn't make any money for 9 months, but yet we still had to pay rent for that table. So the only way we would cover that was we brought someone in that wanted to start a business with my mum, and he was paying the rent because he had some cash spare for the tables kind of thing. So when they started the business, it was a business actually called World Remit that was started between my mum and Ismail. So when they started that from the table, they started to pick up momentum. So then, because World Remit is a money exchange company, it's what you use to send money back home. So let's say, for example, now that we have travel and now they have the money exchange, even if people want to change dollars to pounds to take, pounds to dollars to take back home, they can do that, hopefully for a better rate, of course. So yeah, we just thought of these businesses to kind of, how can we link them all together? And the reason why I went into business on my own was because I saw that obviously you have to have a passion for what you're doing. But for me, it was that as well as creating like a ecosystem.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So like, let's say, for example, I am a qualified accountant. That's how I started. I studied accounting. I was very good at maths. Finished university. I got my exemptions, done my ACCAs. And then when I got my practicing license, I was like, okay, I want to do this. But when I started accounting for a few years, I was like, okay, what is the next thing? And for me, the next thing was trying to think of the things that I was doing in my accounting business that I did not understand or did not how would you call it? Basically prioritize as much, which was marketing. My accountancy firm at the start was poor because it's a different types of business. It's not a travel agent. Like travel agent, you're selling products, whereas I'm selling a service. So it's a different game. It's client work, and with client work, you have to understand people. Like,
So did you have to learn on the job there?
yeah.
Like,
Obviously, when we had the travel agent, so there were 3 tables. After a little while, so we had World Remit on one table, the travel agent on the other, and then it was me. Obviously, I would help my mum and Ismail as much as I could, but most of the time I would try and figure out how to start my accounting stuff, right? Because I was in my 3rd year at this time, just finished university, and I wanted to tap into doing something on my own. So then when I'd done that, it was a thing where, okay, what am I not good at? Because I've been doing this for 9 months now. I haven't got one client. So how do I get a client? So then I went back to the drawing board and try and figure out how to market for service-based businesses, not product-based. And then it was literally the Ty Lopez course. They kind of showed me how to target within a radius of me. And luckily enough, I signed my first client, which was someone we knew who was already a customer of the travel agent. And I signed him. But then a whole new world starts. Like once you onboard a client, then it's like, what do you do next? Do you send contracts? When do you send an invoice? When do you start the work? And like all of that you learn. And for me, I didn't learn that before. So I had to go through a lot of trial and error at the start to kind of grasp how it all works.
But would you say that if you worked for a firm beforehand, right, that you would have learned a lot more rather than starting from scratch?
100%.
So would you say experience would have been a bit better in that sense, especially when you're venturing out to a whole new service-based kind of,
So
you're offering that instead of we using
Yeah,
previously.
I done a small internship. This is basically a summer program at KPMG, but when I done it, I hated it. I'm the type of person, if I don't like it, I'm not going to do it. I was there, I think, 3 days, and it's like a 3-month thing. Mm-hmm. So my first day I went in, I was like, okay, it's all right, like the vibe's all right, but everyone was just suited and booted, and everyone was just fake. And I can't have a conversation with you if you're gonna be fake with me.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? And then I was like, okay, do you know what? Like, I'm just gonna give this a try. Tried it again, second day. I was like, this stuff's not getting any better. So I was like, do you know what? I'm not coming back. So I went back home. I told my mum. I was like, Mum, I don't think I can do this. And she's like, why? Like, you gotta try it. Don't give up. Blah blah blah. And that's when I made the decision to say, like, I'm gonna go ahead in on my own.
At least you stayed one more day than the warehouse.
You stayed on longer than the warehouse, at least. But funny enough that you mentioned, for example, you had the table for World Remit, for example, and I think they're worth about $500 million now. I think at this point, it's quite.
We're going to IPO next year.
Huh?
We're going to IPO next year.
To go to IPO next year, yeah. Do you want to give a backdrop on who they are for people who don't know?
So World Remit is basically an online money exchange company. Yeah. So what they do is they understand that there was a lot of foreign people living in the UK that still have people at home that they look after financially. And it was so hard for us to send money back then electronically. Yeah. So what they've done is they've created this whole app and whole software where you're able to send money regularly back home. And let's say for us, for example, in Somalia, we don't have we have bank accounts, but we don't use them. So what we use is phones. Yeah. So let's say, for example, you own a cafe, right? And I want to buy a coffee from you. If I don't have cash, I don't use my card. I don't have a card. What I'll do is I can send the money from my phone to you. So they understood that. So what they done is they worked with the biggest telecommunications company in Somalia to say, okay, let us use your phone service, how they send money, and we will get the foreign people that send them back money to onboard you and use your service. So then they both make money, kind of thing. So what they done is they basically cut out the middleman of Western Union and all them kind of guys and give you a better rate. And it's just, they do a lot more than this, but that was how it actually started, and that's what they're known for.
No, it's really great because, we've got, that's another Somali person that's doing great, especially when it comes to, the fintech side of things, especially, like I said, if there's an IPO next year, that's a really big thing going on.
I should have said that, but
we might have to blur that out. You know what I mean? Secret information might come out.
That's
but no, definitely. See, those are one of the things where we talked about in previous episodes. Positive role models. So when you're able to see people and that are able to strive in a certain way that are grafting, whether it is seeing your mother, for example. Of course, you're seeing it day in, day out, work, and whether it's on the branding side of it, given that great customer service level and everything else, it makes you think to yourself, you know what, let me venture out myself rather than work for someone. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And you've continuously been doing so. Of course, these things they never come without risk. It's all about high risk, high reward kind of thing, right? Yeah. So I remember your mom had a shop, for example, and then she had a little bit of space at the back, for example. That's how you first started off, I remember. And then from the back, you're working off that. But would you say that you tapped into her customer base too? Because whilst they came, and they might be small business owners or whatever, self-employed, you were able to service them in that side, and then you're giving them, services from both sides then.
Yeah. So let's say if we had a customer coming by flight tickets or anything travel related, my mum would always kind of include me in that conversation somehow. She'll be like let's say, or if someone's talking about business or their business, he'll be like, oh, by the way, my son's an accountant, like he can help you, blah blah blah. Yeah. But I was going to interrupt you earlier because I was going to say, in terms of role models, at the time I never saw my mum as a role model, which is really weird. And I think the reason why is because I was working directly with her, and because she's my mum, I didn't not appreciate her as much, but I didn't see how important she was to me in terms of the business side of things. So what I was doing was what everyone else probably was doing at the time, was looking for people online that look successful and then follow them.
In that sense,
do you get what I mean? So that's why I had Ty Lopez. The only reason why I bought the course is because I love his lifestyle. Yeah. And I was like, I want that lifestyle. Do you know what I mean? Like, he had nice cars, he had all that materialistic stuff that I don't care about anymore. But at the time when you're young, that's the only thing you care about.
So that you're chasing basically the dream itself. Exactly. Right? You're chasing the materialistic side of things.
Exactly.
You want that in that sense.
And I think the reason why I didn't see my mum as a role model as such back then was because she didn't indulge in materialistic things. Yeah. you see the car she
Yeah,
drives.
yeah, definitely.
Even till now.
It's
do you know what I mean?
it's more about. I'd say it's more about, rather than being flashy, it's being more modest. I say, and at the same time, it's more about, you know what? Instead of me buying all these things, let me invest in something else, right? In different ventures that might be. Do you know what I mean? And your mom's great at that, mashallah. Do you know what I mean? Real grafter when it comes to that type of things. So, no, definitely. You know what's really interesting, I'll say, right? You know, you mentioned earlier, your mom is more like your business partner at this point then. Do you know what I mean? So isn't it strange that you've got your business partner, but that's your mom at the same time? So that relationship sometimes, especially when you don't see eye to eye when it comes to certain decisions, right? How do you go?
That goes back home.
Exactly. How do you go around that? That's your mom in that sense. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I think, if I remember correctly, every time we had like a dispute at work, sometimes like it would go back home, right? But then at home, for some reason, my mum, she would never continue it longer than it should. Like, she'll remind me what I've done wrong and what I should have done and all that kind of stuff. But she won't then tell me the next day about it and the day after the day after. But obviously, because I was young, I was making a lot of mistakes.
yeah.
So, for example, like, it's like little stupid things. Like, let's say, for example, when we cash up at the end of the day, I have to take the money to the bank. Sometimes I'll take £20 out because I want to go buy some nice food. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I won't tell my mum. But I'll deposit the money and everything, and my mum will see it, and she's like, "Why did you do that?" So I'm like, "Because I wanted to get some food."
Yeah.
And because me and my mum, of course, she's my mother at the end of the day, but we are so close, like we're like best friends. So that's why sometimes I take it a little bit. I understand it now. I take it a bit too further than what it should.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
But yeah, like, she's dope.
So would you say that was money well spent by like with that course?
Yeah, 100%.
Because you always see like a lot of people like advertising these courses and whatnot, and obviously sometimes, like, I'm guessing majority of the time they're not of benefit.
Yeah, because people don't understand selling information is probably the most best business you can start. The reason I say that is because, well, obviously now it's very saturated, so it's quite hard to do it. So you have to be on job and making sure that you update people regularly with changes, whether it's social media related, so algorithms change every single day. Like, everything changes. But obviously when it comes to information, at the end of the day, it's all about perspective. So when you take in the information, it's about how you're going to use it. What I've seen the information market kind of grow like fast, but what I have seen is there's at least 90% of people that buy the courses don't actually do none of it. The only reason why they watch is because they're curious to see what they're teaching.
So it's a feel good factor, basically.
Exactly.
It's for them to say, you know what, I bought this course, now I'm being proactive in that sense.
Yes.
But really and truly, it might be just sitting there.
Yeah.
A bit like the gym, yeah. Like, you know how January comes, everybody's got this.
Exactly.
What's that thing, man?
New Year's resolution.
That's the one. New Year's resolution, and then January is very packed, and then by February they all filter out.
Yeah.
No, more or less, it could be like that. Do you know what I mean? A lot of people might just buy a gym pass and then just say, you know what?
Yeah.
It's just there, right?
100%.
Or you can, if you ask me, for example, or do you go to gym? I would say, yeah, I do, but you might not. You know what I mean? But you just got your pass to show for it. Do you know what I mean?
Every single day I have people ask me how to start a business. But what they don't know is YouTube. You can search on YouTube and you'll find the answer.
Yeah, YouTube tutorials, man.
Yeah, but what a lot of people want, and that's what I wanted back then, was guidance.
Yeah.
So I needed someone to hold me with my hand and take me to where I want to go. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
but
definitely.
and when I bought them courses, I thought it was doing that for me, and I think that's why a lot of people don't actually do the stuff they're taught in these courses, is because they expect someone to hold your hand and do it. They expect it to just come. I did. That's why I bought another course. I spent so much money when I was younger. Sometimes money that my mom don't even know about. But like it was a thing where I was just buying these courses, trying to gain this knowledge and information and all that, but I was not doing anything with it at the time until I realized this information is just the same as the other course, and that is the same as the other course, and that's the same as YouTube. So why is it not working? Like, why am I still in the same position? And then obviously action is the best thing you can do. So that's why when you said, did I have pre-knowledge when I started? I didn't. It was more so trial and error kind of thing. And I think that is the best way for, obviously I'm taught different. A lot of people like to be taught in different ways, like whether it's visual, audio, whatever. But for me, I was more of a visual person and trying shit. Like, I'll try Facebook ads, I'll try YouTube, I'll try Google, I'll try everything under the sun.
So you're saying like invest in yourself essentially.
100%. Oh yeah. Like, your best investment is you.
But at the same time, I want to touch on, for example, right? Now, let's say at this point, you're quite young, right? Your age mate, your friends or whatever that might be at this point are getting a regular income in, and you are working for yourself now, right? Now, you know, you never know when the next income might come in. You never know when that client might pay the invoice, or you're chasing them up, whatnot, right? So now at this point, you've got, you know, when you're quite young, you want to go out too, you wanna buy stuff or whatever that might be. What was it like at that point when you might not had something in your pocket? What motivated you still to go on and work maybe till 4 o'clock in the morning?
When my mom stopped giving me money.
So you got cut off basically.
Yeah. She's like, if you're going to do this, you got to do this on your own. And every penny I earn is the money I spend on myself, which include my phone contract. Let me tell you a story about my phone contract, yeah. My dad came to London for like a weekend. And I was always using my mum's phone to contact him, right? Because my mum never wanted me to have a phone back then, because I was young. I was, year 9, I think it was, or year 10. And then, no, it was year 10. And then when my dad came, he was like, Sharif, like, you need a phone, like, so I can call you directly.
Yeah.
And he was like, why don't you get a contract? I was like, yeah, you're right. And he goes, you get a new phone and this and that. I was like, yeah. So we went to the shopping mall, and then we got a contract. I was paying like, I think it was £60 a month or something like that. And I was like, yeah, that's cool. Like, I can make £60 in a month, right? Until you don't. Like, £60 at that time, in my financial position, was not something I could do. So I missed my payment. I missed another payment. I missed another payment. Yeah. I missed another payment. And then before you know, I've got a CCJ on my file, right? Because I couldn't make the payments. Then I started to realize, okay, like, I'm really in this on my own kind of thing. Like, my mum's not going to give me anything. She's not going to help me. Unless, of course, I'm in trouble. But she needs me to learn these things, because otherwise I'm going to go back in the same circle. At the time, I thought a phone contract is nothing, right? But that CCJ messed me up for a lot of things. I couldn't get another phone contract for a little while. I couldn't get, when I got older, I got my license at 18, I wanted to get a car. I couldn't finance a car because of that CCJ on my file. Like, there was so many things I didn't know, and all because my dad was like, influenced me to do something which he didn't know I didn't have the means to do it, kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, like, I started to realize that. So what was the question?
Basically, it was a learning lesson for you, innit?
Yeah, learning lesson. Because obviously when my mum cut off everything,
of course, yeah,
I was on my own, you know. So then, yeah, it started to affect me socially more so, because my friends would go out, like on a weekend or whatever, and I couldn't afford to do it. But, you know, sometimes I'll borrow some money off my friend, and I'll be like, oh, I'll pay you next week, kind of thing. So yeah, it was a circle that obviously with time it builds up, and then you come to a realization point and be like, yo, like.
But did you not want to work harder at that point? Say, you know what, in order for me to get this done, I need to put more work in it. Let me put more hours in. Let me get this done, because I can't be asked. Do you know what I mean? Having nothing in my pocket at that point. Do you know what I mean?
100%.
I need to be able to, you know, I put myself in this position. I could have worked for someone, but I didn't.
Yep.
So how am I gonna get this?
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? So at this point, no, definitely, I can tell that at that time you probably worked till. I remember you used to work till 4 a.m. trying to get stuff done. Do you know what I mean?
Literally.
Whatever you was trying to do, I remember till 4 a.m. you're doing some stuff, whatever. And the next day you'd be like, oh, I'm not gonna go out, or I can't go out, whatever that might. You'd ghost for 2 weeks or something. But these are the sacrifices that you've got to make in order to get there, right?
Yeah, like you said, it's high risk, high reward. And a lot of people don't realize that when you go into this world, it's more sacrifice at the start than it is reward. And some people don't have the patience for that. And when you don't, it affects you mentally, which is the most daunting part of this. Because I've seen a lot of people go into this space and not be mentally stable. And that can take a toll on you, because the first obstacle you hit, you're already giving up. Do you get what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then you're already thinking a lot of things about yourself, that I'm not good enough, or I'm never going to get to that stage, or I'm never going to make X amount of money, or I'm never going to achieve this. So it plays a part. And then once you verbally and mentally start thinking that, it becomes a pattern. And then to get out of that pattern is tough, because I've been there. Like, it's basically you're basically depressed, because you're trying to keep going, but there is no light at the end of the tunnel. So you're gonna feel demotivated when you wake up. A lot of people say, do what you love, so when you wake up, you're gonna be all happy. It's not like that. Do you get what I mean? It's not at all. Obviously, I love what I do, but it's not a thing where every single day, like, I'm smiling and happy about what I have to do. Do you know what I mean?
It's not. I can tell it's probably not even like that. Some days you just waking up, you just get woken up. You wake yourself up at maybe, let's say, 6 in the morning. You say, well, you know what? I can't afford to sleep. Do you know what I mean? I don't know where my breakfast is gonna come from today. Exactly. Let me get this done, right? Or let me close this client, because this client might be able to, pay. I've got bills to pay, right? And this client might be able to get me there. Do you know what I mean? But at the same time, it's about being consistent. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Having that drive for it. And at the same time, it's giving yourself that self-confirmation that, you know what, I can do these things at the same time, right? But at the same time,
Not giving up, I think, is the most important part. I could have gave up 100,000 times, but even till this day, I'll never give up.
That's the thing.
I remember when we started something.
Yeah.
I wouldn't give up until there is no hope left, kind of thing.
I know you mean.
Do you get what I mean? Yeah. But sometimes I'll stick to it. Like, I'll tell you a story. Nico, for example. Yeah. I have a clothing brand, Mien, and then when we had a meeting in Birmingham with the whole team.
Wait, sorry. Who is Nico?
Nico is
for the viewers.
Creative director for my agency at the moment. He's also a very, very close friend of mine. And like, we're brothers for life. But he is also my right hand. He keeps me accountable. So sometimes, of course, we're humans, we make mistakes. He's the type of person that be like, yo, Sharif, like, you can't do that, or you can't say that, or XYZ. But when he first started, he was a graphic designer, freelance graphic designer. And I needed some CAD designs done for my clothes. So I took him to Birmingham with me. And then he done some work for us. And then it got to a point where I started to value his work, and I wanted him to teach me how to do it, right? So we spent a day in Pret and Harrow, and he was showing me how to do graphic design and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not going to lie, I thought that was a headache. Like, I was like, graphic design? You must be mentally, like, strong to be able to go through that. And then I was like, I can't do this. Like, I'm good at what I do, but I don't think I have the time or the mental energy to actually do graphic design and all that kind of stuff. So I was like, why don't you come work with me, right? No one knows this, but he came and worked for me at my mum's office for literally, I'll say a whole year. He took £300 a month as a salary from me. So what he'll do is he'll work with me 9 till 5, and then after that he'll do a night shift in Primark, right? But at the time we both had this vision, like we both wanted to do this thing together. And then when we actually started, it was a thing where, okay, you're gonna handle this side of the business, I'm gonna handle this side of the business. So then we got the business covered. Now let's elevate and get these clients and all that kind of stuff, build some momentum. So obviously for me, people is probably the most important part of business. Like, you need to have people skills. You need to know how to speak to people, especially when you're in different conversations. Like, if you're talking to someone a bit like my age, you'd speak to differently than someone older than you.
So like you're talking about like networking and
but one thing I was bad at was clothes.
okay.
So Sam knows I don't wear suits, right? So when we have meetings, for example, and I turn up like this, like I have a meeting on Monday with my dad, for example, in Canary Wharf, like it's a big fund meeting, and I'll probably roll like this. And obviously a lot of people, they care about first impressions, right? But for me, I don't care about your visual. I care about what's in here. So I try to showcase that in those conversations. Most of the time, like, I'm okay, like I can hold myself and they're impressed by what I'm saying and what I know and all that kind of stuff. But for me, it's more of a thing where this is who I am. Like, accept me for who I am or you don't. That's up to you.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? So with Nico, he literally wowed me at the start just because of his heart. Like, he was not, obviously money is always money. Everyone wants to make money.
Of course, it's always going to be money.
But he believed in the vision. And for me, that mattered more than any amount of money. And I know once we make money, I'm going to look after him. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, yeah, like, it was tough, but to make sure that we all stand on the same floor, we got to make sure that we work together and make sure that we're all mentally there. Because one thing that I've learned from working in, like, or seeing, like, corporate structures is you're just a number there most of the time. And it's not fair on the people that are given and waking up early this morning to go into work and, you know, give their heart and soul to the job when they're treated as just a number. Kind of thing. So that was the other biggest reason why I went into this, because I don't want people to feel like it's a chore to come into work.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I don't want people to feel like they are restricted. That's what I hated. And that's why even when I came to the warehouse, when the guy told me to put the thing, I was like, no, I'm not doing that. Because I don't like doing that. Do you know what I mean? So, it's just one of those things, like, restricting people, I think, is a problem because it doesn't allow them to be the best version of themselves.
No, but at the same time though, like, not everybody's able and capable of being an entrepreneur.
Oh, 100%.
Like, because obviously, I don't know if you remember, like, when we was young and whatnot, like, you'd always hear, like, you know, young, ignorant, they'd always say, I don't want to work for nobody, I want to work for myself and all of these things. But, like, obviously, like you said before, nobody really knows what it takes, and it's not for everybody.
It's not for everyone, no.
I've taken a lot of mental tolls. I've been deep under, but, you know, at the end of the day, if you don't give up and stay consistent and stay persistent, you'll get out of there.
Like, one other question I had, like, at any point did you have any sort of mentorship, or was it a thing where you're seeking this information and learning everything by yourself? Like, did anybody ever mentor you?
Oh, no. Mentor? No. You know what I think mentoring is? I think mentor is important because that's something I was looking for to hold my hand. Do you know what I mean? Even though that person doesn't really hold your hand, he keeps you on that page and doesn't let you go off it, if that makes sense. So yeah, mentors, I think I didn't have, but subconsciously I did, which is my mum.
Yeah.
So seeing her every single day doing what she's doing, I didn't think of it that deep at the time. But obviously as I got older, I started to implement things that she was doing. Like, I think now, which is weird, this is the first time I realized this, the way I work now is exactly how she used to work then. Like, now I work late. Like, I work till 4 a.m. sometimes. And obviously some of the traits that she's done, like she always puts family first. Me too. I'm a very big family person. My grandma, she lives in London, and I have to make sure that every weekend I'm with her. I spend time with her. I do shopping for her, whatever it is. So, yeah, subconsciously, my mum was my mentor. I would say the other mentor would be socially. Social media, if you use it right, it can be a very good place. So people like Ty Lopez, for example, at the time, he was a huge mentor to me because he's the one that kind of got me off my feet and let me start this journey. Another dude called Stephen Bartlett, he's quite cool. And I've known him for a very long time.
I think he's on Dragon's Den now, isn't he?
Yeah,
He's on Dragon's Den now?
Yeah.
One of the, pretty young as well at the same time. You know, being there. Yeah, I remember, I think we went up one time. Was that,
it was to
what was it,
Digital Marketing World.
that's
in
the
London.
one. And then everyone was kind of flooding in to go and see him.
Speak to him.
Although you had these different spaces, whether it was Google, whatever, you know, different types of companies that were there. But a lot of people were going in for him, especially on what he had to say, because he had a lot of takes on so many things that was going on, the in things at that point.
Yeah.
And I think it was quite important, especially at that time when we spoke to him about various different things that was. But another thing I was going to say is, do you feel like when you know, not saying that you're old now, obviously, you know what I'm saying, but in your early 20s compared to what you're now, right? Do you think a lot of those, I wouldn't say necessarily L's, but would you say a lot of those things that, whether ventures you had beforehand, right? And the past mistakes, because I remember we was doing something beforehand and all these things. And I did feel like, you know, if we had that, we was quite young, naive and all these other things, right? But I feel like when you're starting up, one of the key things is when you have people that you're starting up a business with, you have to make sure that what are the reasons you bring this person in, and not just for the sake of, I like this guy. Do you know what I mean? You have to look at the strengths and weaknesses that individual has. What are they really bringing on to this? Do you know what I mean? Are they willing to graft? Are they looking? What's the input going to be like at that point? Do you know what I mean? Are they able to take it out of particular places when you're low? Do you know what I mean? And those are the key things, I think, when you go into business with someone.
100%.
And I feel like when we younger,
not even just going into business with someone, even having as your team.
No, definitely, I agree with that. Yeah. So everyone inputs, well, whatever they put in, right, is very valuable, right? And I feel like when you're really young, you feel like, and I feel like when you said earlier about mentorship, I feel like mentorship is really key. I feel like 100%. At that point, if in the early 20s, if we had that type of mentor that we went to on a weekly basis, said, you know what, we've got this going on at this point. Can you look over? Do you think this strategy will work or this not? I feel like if we went along with that we would have gone through so many things a lot smoother than rather than just hanging a face for, okay, that might not work. Why is that? Because we didn't give a contract to that person to do that type of work, or we didn't set a particular budget. Do you know what I mean? Rather than, okay, we have to top up another 100 there. We have to grab, can we raise another £500 there on a, you know how it was like, right? So it's all about making sure that everyone's on board. You already have a set budget going. Hopefully you're like, you know what, this is the emergency fund in case we need this. Will everyone have a meeting, let's say at 2 a.m, if it's an emergency meeting at that point, let's just say. And having those things, a lot of people need to be prepared for that, because when you're in a 9 to 5, right, you can literally clock out at 5 and you don't need to be worrying about all those other emails that are coming in, right? That inbox can wait till the next day. But when you're working for yourself, it's totally different, because that inbox or whatever you got going at that time, right, you got to keep going at it, because every little thing that you do will be so valuable for later on. 100%. And every little thing that you learn will be key in order for you to be successful at that point. Do you know what I mean? And those are some of the key takeaways that I felt like are like when you're starting something up. Like it might be funny, but when I was starting business, let's say, I think it was international business. Although you've gone through so many years of studying business, etc., you never get through to the basic things of how to apply maybe for a loan, let's just say, or all these basic things. Do you know what I mean? Like, okay, what do I need when I go to the bank? Or how do I set this particular team up? Or what kind of challenges will I encounter doing these things? And I feel like if you have a mix of when it comes to people that are from, you know, you can't have everyone that's maybe 20 because no one has ever gone through something. If you have a mix maybe of someone who's 35, someone who's 20, and you've got a mix going on, right? I think it goes a lot smoother, I'd say.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Definitely. Like when you was talking about mentorship, for example, I think it caters to people differently.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like it has good and bad traits. So like, let's say for example, it's good because let's say if I had a mentor back then, I wouldn't have made half of the mistakes I did. Do you know what I'm saying? But if I didn't, I wouldn't have the mental grit I have now.
Yeah, I agree with
Do you know
that.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I would basically be babysitted
Throughout the whole process of things, and things will be a lot easier. Yeah.
So when the obstacle hits me, I'm like, oh, how do I do with this? It's like it's a whole new world. Do you know what I mean? So sometimes I think like having the right people can be your mentors. Like having the right around you. I'm saying, like even when it comes to your friends, like there's so much I learned from one of my best friends, Amana, who's getting married tomorrow.
Yeah.
Him for example, he knew who he was.
Yeah.
That's what I respected most. Like every time I look at what I do, I always go back to when we started, and I always go back to him. But the reason why was because I think for me, I struggled with self-awareness, knowing who I was for years, and I had to dip into things to kind of figure out what I like, what I don't like. But Amana knew that from the get-go. He knew that when, let's say, for example, in sixth form, he knew that higher education, he wasn't really into it as much.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying? So for him, it was like, okay, let me go find someone where I can build my career, where I can start off somewhere and build from there. Because he's more of a hands-on type person. Do you get what I'm saying? So for me, I respected that a lot. And then the other person, Nick, for example, the reason why I respect Nick so much is because from a young age, he was the most independent guy out of all of us. He done everything on his own. He got his own car on his own. I remember my car, my mum chipped in a bit of money.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? He never had that. And for me, it's those small things that teach me a lot of lessons and perspective to kind of build my mental grit. So like I said, mentors, like, and Komi, for example, Komi is the same as Amana. Like I would say Komi was more so an explorer. Like he liked to try things because he was like me. Like we were very curious. We liked the designer stuff, but then we also know that we can't spend that much money on it at the time. So for me, I was very close with Komi because
at the time, yeah.
Yeah. Nah, even now, even till now, like
I see you on top, man. It says,
You're pretty close.
yeah. Top
Yeah.
says broke on it for those obviously that are not going to be watching
So
on
what,
YouTube.
is Broke part of your label?
Yeah, so
your
Broke
clothing line?
is a line of my clothing brand. Started in 2018. The reason why we done it, we thought let's be a bit more contradicting, if that makes sense. So what we'll do is we'll wear this and we'll go to all the places where it's like money, so like Harrods and Bulgaria Hotel, and we'll stay at these places. But the reason why is because we would wear like Gucci shoes or Balenciaga shoes and Gucci t-shirt. No, sorry, Amiri jeans, and let's say a nice watch or whatever. But we'll have a Broke jumper on. Every single day, like when we walk in those kind of environments, people will stop us and be like, "Huh, funny," or be like, "Oh, you're broke, yeah." I can see, because the reason why we done it is we wanted to spark a conversation.
Yeah.
And it gets people to conversate with you. So we thought it was a good networking tool to kind of have, especially in those kind of places when we want to be and speak with these kind of people. It was.
But your brand is a bit different. It's not, the generic where people just, nowadays you see a lot of clothing lines just pop up out everywhere where everyone just gets they just get a jumper and just put a line on it, and then everyone just tries to promote it. Whereas you, it's more to do with a particular material that you picked out.
It's custom.
You know, you've got a particular target market that you go for, I'd say.
Yep.
And, you know, to be fair, I see quite a lot of people that buy it with that like the particular, I'll say, trend that they follow, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, I am very relatable to these people. Like my customers and me, like we're probably the same in terms of fashion wise, the way we think, the way we dress, and all that kind of stuff. And I think that's why it's an advantage, because you understand your market, you understand the people that you are selling to, not even just selling to, that you are creating a community with. So for us, we didn't even have a menswear brand. We started with a women's wear, which was called Slinger. And Slinger was huge. Like we were basically like a small version of Zara. And we had so many like influencers and celebs and all that kind of stuff wearing our clothes. And we was like, do you know what? Like me and my partner at the time was like, let's just make some clothes for ourselves, kind of thing, to wear. So then we made a few bits and bobs, and then people started inquiring about it. And then we was like, maybe we can start something. So then we started the menswear. And obviously as time goes by, businesses change all the time. Like you bring on partners, you bring on like the model changes and all that kind of stuff. So sometimes it doesn't of course last, because you need to make sure that you have the right team, the right people. But yeah, like Slinger went downhill. So now it's just Fader and it's just me now.
Funny that you mentioned that, right? I don't know what kind of strategy or what kind of tactic you used or whatever. You can go into it more, but I literally saw your brand on the Pies Insta story the other day, right? And I thought, you know what, that's actually really good, the way you went about it. So, you know, I've never really asked you how you went about it, but yeah, do you want to share about how you done it?
And wait, let me just add.
Yeah.
Was it that top you was wearing like last episode or the episode
it's
before?
literally the
like
top itself. You know, part of what was the collection called again?
Ransom.
The Ransom collection, right? And literally on the story itself, and then I think you reposted onto your story. So how did you go around that? How, you know, do you strategically pick, right, how you send things or who this goes to in order to get that kind of engagement going on?
Yeah, it goes both ways. One, we have like a whole criteria list, but two, the main thing is, of course, they have to be able to wear it the way we all wear it, if that makes sense. Yeah. So having that aesthetic that's close to us, making sure that they are, you know, into the same things we are, if that makes sense. And the second part, of course, like, influence matters, especially on social media. Like, making sure that you have people that can spread your word, spread your story, spread your clothes and products. That's super important as well. So then once you have that, like, criteria, you just have to knock on people's doors and go hunt. But
go hunt.
Yeah, literally. You have to literally go hunting.
But do you strategically pick, right? Because the way that came about, it was literally, of course, this went out to his friend, one of his close friends, I'm assuming, right? And he's got a couple million followers, like the Pie himself, Memphis the Pie, right? So did you strategically pick that he's gonna be with him at that point?
Oh no!
Or was that just a coincidence?
Yeah,
that was came about.
Yeah. Obviously, you wanna, let's say, for example, if you can't get a head honcho, you wanna get the next people.
The one,
the entourage.
Exactly. and that's how you do it. But for us, the way we've done it is we want to build relationships with these people. Yeah, like these people I speak to
of course,
personally. Do you know what I mean? So that's what builds the relationship. So then in that sense, they will do anything for you. Obviously, not anything, but what I'm trying to say is it's a value
more of a
proposition.
Gratitude in that sense of, you know, they've received something that they actually quite like.
Yeah.
They, you know, not all the time when someone receives maybe as they call it, a care package or whatever that might, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're actually gonna rock these type of clothing.
100%. Something you have to take a risk
for them to be able to wear it. That means they actually like the that they've received at that point.
Yeah,
which then goes a long way too.
Yeah, that is probably the most important, because if you give someone like that clothes that it's not nice, or one wash it goes, or you lose its color or whatever, they're not gonna come back. They don't want to wear it again, or they might not even post it again. Do you get what I mean? So it all starts from obviously your product or service that you're trying to sell. Once you have that intact and you think it's good enough to then give to these people, then you do it, you know? And for me, I spend a lot of time on my clothes. Like, I spend a lot of time mainly on fabrics, making sure they wash properly, making sure they don't lose color. Like this one I've had probably for about 5 years now.
I think the fabric was really good, because some of us anyways were able to get a few items that we bought.
Love.
And to be fair, you know what? The material was actually really good.
Yeah.
You know, he did give us the guarantee, don't get me wrong, say, you know what, the material is going to be good, don't watch that. But it was actually quite good. That's the thing. And like you said, if you nail it when it comes to the material side of things, then, you know, everything then goes, you know, when the next line comes out, then people will be looking out for that and say, you know what, the last piece of clothing that I received was really good. I'm looking forward to the next items that come out. You know what I mean? And at the same time, you're working off the back of the momentum that went on the last time round. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. But obviously it's hard because you have to constantly innovate.
Yeah.
And you have to constantly make sure you're on trend. You have to constantly make sure that people are going to buy this also. And I think with all of that, it all mainly comes from your product, like how good your product actually is. So yeah, like it is important, but making sure that you are the best at your craft is the only goal you should set for yourself, because once you do that, you will continuously innovate, you'll continuously try to do better than your last, and then hopefully with time then you'll get to where you want to be, kind of thing.
So wait, like what 3 things would you say are the most important, like things, like if someone was out, like, I don't know, a listener or a viewer wanted to start a business or go into being, you know, like an entrepreneur, what 3 things would you tell them to kind of like focus on or make sure that they do?
Of course, the most obvious is having a very good product and service. That's the most important. And then second to that is attention. You need attention. Nowadays, if you have a shop or if you have a business and you're not where the attention is, which currently is social media, you are a ghost. You won't make a penny. You won't get to where you want to go.
What do you mean? So you mean like as in create a buzz for yourself, or for
not necessarily a buzz, just knowing how to market yourself or market your company or business or whatever.
Okay.
So if you don't do that, then it doesn't give a reason. So let's say, for example, what I like to say is put yourself in the consumer shoes, right? Even when, let's say, when it comes to influencers, let's say we want to send some stuff out to some influencers. I don't want to treat them as just a number. So what we do sometimes, we take them out for dinner, or we'll go meet up with them. Or let's say recently there's a girl that has been rocking our stuff, and she's been dope. She's created some creative content. She likes Starbucks. So what we done, we gave her a month free Starbucks card, so she doesn't have to pay for Starbucks. Like, it's stuff like that, because it shows you are interested in them. You're not just there for a transaction.
You're catering.
It's a value-based relationship.
I think you've done something along the lines for your clients at one time when your accounting service, and you gave them like a
welcome pack.
Yeah, but not the welcome pack. You gave them a gift card. I think at one time.
It was every Christmas.
Yeah, something like that, like a Christmas. And to be fair, not everyone gives their clients something.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But at the same time, it's like a thank you kind of thing for being with us. So it's just, you know, for them to, it's something for them to remember you. Yeah. Especially, you know what, oh, this person really does think of me at this time, or whatever that might be. And I think that was quite special in that sense. Oh, they're looking for, you know, what's it going to be like next Christmas? Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm looking out for something, maybe, you know, a box of chocolate, whatever that might be. But it's just, you know, making sure that you're attentive to your clients at that time. I think it interlinks with the fact that you said, you know, you gave this person a month's free Starbucks, for example.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, definitely.
100. Like, at the end of the day, like, you have to, you know, go out of your way for these people, because once you do that, they'll do the same back for you. Whether that's your customers, people you're trying to work with, whatever it is, like you have to kind of go out your way, maybe even first sometimes, and then you have to take a bet whether they reciprocate that or not. Do you get what I mean? But that's where self-awareness comes into place, because I struggle with that a lot, because when people used to reject me, I used to resent them for it. And then
It's not personal.
no, not a personal thing. I'll be like, I don't like you anymore. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
And that attitude is a bad thing to have, because business is not about that. Business is about, you know, making sure that you don't have that emotional side come out of you, which then changes the way you think, make decisions, and all that kind of stuff. So what I tend to do is I tend to kind of, at the time, yes, I was bad with it, because I was like, oh, I don't want to speak to you anymore or whatever. But now it's like, if you don't speak to me or whatever, that's cool. Like, it's up to you. Do you get what I mean?
Definitely. No, I agree.
And now I'm in a position where I'm starting to think, when I get to where I want to be and you start coming to me, it's going to be a different story.
No,
do you get what I mean?
Definitely, yeah.
So, and we've had that with influencers quite a lot.
Yeah.
But obviously now it's a different story. Like we don't want to stay too heavy in the influencer game, because at the end of the day, our community speaks for itself. I literally love the community that we've built, because some of them message me personally just to say like, oh, thank you, blah, blah, blah. And I take my time out of my day to speak back to them. Sometimes people just ask me like, oh, like I like the broke jumper.
Yeah.
Can I get it? I'm like, yeah, cool. Let's say if I send him a cheeky discount code, he'll then ask me another question, be like, oh, what do you think about starting this or starting that? And then literally one time I spent like 3 hours speaking to this dude, talking about starting like a car rental business. But yeah, back to what you were saying, it was the three things. So it was 1, great products and service. 2, attention is very important. However, you need to find a way to stand out regardless. Like whether it's your attitudes, some people get their audience based off their own personality.
Yeah,
do you get what I mean?
agree, yeah.
Some people, they don't even have to showcase the personality. It's their work speaks for itself, which is called social proofing. So yeah, there's loads of different ways, but attention is super important. And then 3 is customer experience. Making sure that your customer has the best experience than any of your competitors. So with that comes a lot of work.
Going the extra mile, basically. No, definitely. So it's going further than their expectations are for you at that point.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I agree. I think there's a free, when it comes to business especially, those are 3 really good takeaways.
What about patience? What about the patience one?
Patience is also important. Obviously, yes. I know
you mentioned it earlier. But,
I wouldn't know how to categorize them in order.
Yeah.
But patience is definitely super important, because there's going to be times where, you know, let's say a client doesn't pay on time, or let's say you just started and you haven't made a sale, whether it's a service or product, and then you reach 3 months and you're like, oh, like is this for me kind of thing? Do you get what I mean? And then 6 months goes on, it's like, oh, yeah, I don't think I can carry on. But so patience is super important, because in that 7th month you might have someone that can come and change your whole perspective on it. Do you know what I mean? And then for me, momentum is key. So I don't care how small the gain is, right? Once it's a gain, you have to learn figure out how you're going to use that as momentum.
Yeah.
For me, I was quite materialistic back then. So what I would do, if I had a client, I'll treat myself. Do you know what I mean? Like I'll buy a new pair of crepes, or I'll buy like a tracksuit or whatever, and it keeps going. Like now, for example, obviously I don't really buy much stuff anymore, but I'll go get a facial. I love like personal care, innit?
Yeah, definitely.
So for me, like that was my thing. So let's say, for example, I've worked so hard on a Monday. If I feel like in the evening, I'll go to like Four Seasons and get a nice facial.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I've worked so hard today, I should treat myself. And I think that's super important, because, you know, it doesn't have to be huge. Like the way I used to treat myself before was by food. I used to. No joke. I'm not even joking.
What do you mean, man?
Like, let's say for example, close a client. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's a place we used to always go? Like Tinseltown. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember me coming. Even Sam came with us sometimes. We used to go there because I used to initiate. I'll be like to the boys, "Yo, we need to go Tinseltown tonight." It'll be like what 11.
Probably
12
late
o'clock,
on. No, it used to be
1
quite late,
a.m.
yeah.
And the reason why I do that is because I wanted to treat myself to a nice meal that I wanted, or I was craving, because I've worked so hard and I've achieved something that day. So then those small wins, it slowly builds up. Of course, you need to understand. Don't think you need to spend a lot of money to treat yourself. It doesn't have to be like that. So it's building with patience. You need to find a way to build momentum. And with that momentum, it's just a thing where you have to keep going. However, when you do reach obstacles, I will say it is tough, but you need to try and find a way to spend 5 minutes on it, change, and see what you're going to do next. Because a lot of people, what I see a lot of people do is they dwell on things a bit too long. Like if I lose a client today, for example, a lot of people are like, oh, why did I lose that client? Or this or that or this and that. For me, it's like, you know what, like, it happens. Do you get what I mean? Like, what's next? And I'll be like, okay, let me go find another client that I can kind of work with and partner up with. Do you get what I mean? So, yeah.
Yeah. No, I think those are great takeaways. And, you know, we really appreciate, you know, you coming down and giving some tips
Anytime.
what it's like to be a young Somali starting up a business. Especially, it's not common for someone to start up with what, you know, with the mother, let's say, or the father in that sense.
100%.
Do you know what I mean? So going through the whole process of what the relationship is going to be like, going from that, you know, having the option of giving yourself the option of, you know what, I don't want to work for someone, and this a pathway that I want to go for. But at the same time, you know, there are always going to be obstacles,
100%.
and living with those things. But with those things come growth at the same time.
Yep.
So learning all these things, like you said, there's a lot of obstacles. From those obstacles, I've learned X and Y, and whatever else there might be that comes from it. And I think a lot of people that want to start up, for example, will have a lot of things that they can take away from that. And, you know, I think, like you said, having being mentally prepared for those things and saying, you know what, if I were to quit today, let's say, right, or tomorrow, let it be so, and I want to start my own venture, whatever that might be, am I prepared for those things, for going the extra mile, working full in the morning, you know, having maybe a couple hours of sleep, making sure that I'm going to be able to socialize with my friends, let's say, and I'll be detached from a lot of things. So I think a lot of people need to take a lot of those things away, because it's pretty tough going out there. So, you know, like I said, I really appreciate you coming down.
Yeah, thank you for
Thanks
coming
a lot
on.
for that, man. Appreciate
Do
it.
appreciate
it.
You know, and by the way, you know, when it comes to Sharif, you know, wherever any service that he provides, that is. But at the same time, yeah, definitely have a look at his clothing brand. I don't know what I said, brand, but clothing brand, Mien. And definitely it'll be under there with
In the
any
description.
socials, in the description.
Socials.
And definitely check out if it's one of those things that, you know, I think a lot of people tend to go for the generic things out there that's out there. But if you look for something really like that's a bit niche, that's a bit like you want to stand out a bit more, and something that's very good quality, and trust me, a lot of us can say that have worn his items, definitely go for it, have a look and see, and at the same time supporting a young Somali, you know, with his venture. So definitely go for that. And like I said, really appreciate it. Come down, man.
Thank you
For that.
One other thing I wanted to add, so like I just wanted to thank everybody who's been watching, listening, supporting, and we thank you so much, and we do really appreciate that. So
no, definitely, like Lee said, we really, really appreciate it, because so far this sixth episode, you know, we've been running, we're getting some great feedback. A lot of people being, you know, vibing with even whether it's the previous episode, a lot of people been taking away a lot of those things, and the thing is, we've got a lot more things to cover, right? And as where Sharif mentioned earlier, we're still learning as we're going, right?
Yeah, 100%.
At the same time, for us, it's all about the content at the end of the day, right? But we feel like we've got great positive feedback about a lot of people that have been able to resonate with a lot of things that have been said. So really appreciate a lot of the comments that been. Don't worry, we watch a lot of things and we really appreciate it. So, definitely stay tuned.
Yeah,
for
stay
a lot
tuned.
Of things that's still to come.
Yeah, so like, share, subscribe,
Make
all
sure
of that.
everywhere.
All of that.